Welcome to the virtual race brief for the Ultra Scotland 50 and 100 mile events. My name is Wayne Drinkwater and I'm the event director at GB Ultras, and today we're just going to cover some of the key points that you may need to know for the race itself. Race registration for the event is at St John's Town of Dalry Town Hall, a brilliant venue at the heart of Dalry. There is a dedicated parking area for the event. If you follow the signs from outside of St John's Town of Dalry Town Hall and you pass the fuel station, which will be on your left, continuing to follow Ayr Road for approximately a quarter of a mile, you'll then have a left turn. The parking, campsite and race starts are located on the field, effectively on the other side of the river behind the town hall. Please ensure that you do not leave any rubbish on the site, no barbecues are permitted. Use the toilet facilities at Dalry Town Hall and keep the area tidy. It's with the kind consent of the landowner that we have use of the field. Race registration is available on the Friday prior to the event from 5:30 p.m. up until 9 p.m. Or alternatively, you can collect your bib number and your GB race tracker from the event team at race registration on the Saturday morning of the event from 4:15 a.m. up until 5:30 a.m. If you have pre-ordered one of the GB Ultras technical t-shirts for the event, you can pick that up at race registration along with having a look at the other merchandise that we have available. When you collect your GB race tracker at race registration on the Saturday morning of the event, it is already switched on, so all you have to do is securely fasten it to your pack. There is a Velcro fastener on the rear of the tracker that allows you to securely fasten the tracker to your shoulder strap or the back, and it needs direct line of sight with the sky to work effectively. Please note that the tracking is updated at 2-minute intervals, providing there is GPS signal. At times there is limited signal on the Southern Upland Way. Please advise your family and friends who might be following your dots on the live tracking that your tracker will flash with an exclamation mark when this is the case. Please ensure that you hand your tracker back to the event team at the finish line of the event. Alternatively, if you decide not to continue during the race, please ensure that you hand your tracker back to the event team at a checkpoint along with your bib number to signal your retirement from the race. Participants also have the option of utilising drop bags during the race. We can take a drop bag to designated points during the event. The drop bag can be a change of kit, change of shoes, extra supplies or extra nutrition. When you've collected your race number at race registration, you'll be able to collect a drop bag label with your bib number on, which you can securely fasten to your drop bag. 50 mile and 100 mile runners can both utilise a drop bag facility to take a bag from the start line to the finish line to meet them there. Please hand in your drop bag at race registration at St John's Town of Dalry Town Hall no later than 5:40 a.m. prior to the race. Please ensure the bag is clearly labelled with your name, 50 mile runner or 100 mile runner and bib number. 100 mile runners also have drop bag options at checkpoint 5, which is 55 miles into the race, and also at checkpoint 6 at 71 miles. These are not the same drop bag. The GPX is available to download off the GB Ultras website for the event. The race starts at 6 a.m. sharp, subject to our final safety checks and a staggered crossing of Dalry footbridge, where there's a maximum load of 8 people at any one time. Elite athletes, please come to the front of the start line. The Ultra Scotland 50 and 100 mile race route follows one of Scotland's great trails, the Southern Upland Way, a fantastically well marked route that has been established for nearly 40 years. No further race markers will be added to the race route as it's extremely well marked as it is. Throughout the race, please follow the countryside code, closing gates, ensuring working farms livestock can't leave the fields. Respect the trail and other users of the route. The 50 and 100 mile races are two separate events. As such, there can be no swapping between the events during the races itself. For example, if you have entered the 50 mile, then your entry is for the 50 mile. If you've entered the 100 mile, then your entry is for the 100 mile. It affects the integrity of the race, including race paperwork, admin and tracking, should you wish to swap between the two distances during the race. If you do want to, you're more than welcome to, but we need at least 3 weeks' notice. If you decide to transfer and you have booked coach transport for after the event, this may not be necessarily automatically transferred to the other coach, as the two coaches are separate, one from the 50 mile end and one from the 100 mile end. Mileage at checkpoints is approximate miles. There may well be diversions during the event, but cut-offs will be enforced per checkpoint. Should you arrive before the cut-off time, then you have up to 20 minutes to leave the checkpoint, but please bear in mind that taking this amount of time may impact you reaching the next checkpoint in time. To be awarded a medal or a buckle at the finish line, you need to complete the race within the cut-off time in line with the race rules. Requests to receive a medal or buckle for completing part of the race distance or outside of the finish line cut-off will not be awarded. Checkpoint locations during the Ultra Scotland 50 and 100 mile race. Checkpoint 1 is at 8 miles and that's at Strone Patrick. No support crews are permitted due to insufficient parking. Checkpoint 2 is at Sanquhar Town Hall at 26 miles into the race. Support teams are welcome. Checkpoint 3 is at Wanlockhead Community Centre and that is at 34 miles into the race. Support teams are welcome. Checkpoint 4 is at 40 miles into the race and that is on the A702 at Biggar, and that is just after you've descended from Lowther Hill, which is the highest section of the Southern Upland Way and the watershed of the route. Support teams are welcome. The finish line of the Ultra Scotland 50 mile and checkpoint 5 is at 56 miles, which is Moffat Rugby Club. Support teams are welcome. As the race continues for the 100 mile, checkpoint 6 is at 71 miles and at Boston Memorial Village Hall, and that is in the Ettrick Valley. Support teams are welcome. Checkpoint 7 is at 89 miles and that's at Sanquhar Village Hall. With this being a nighttime checkpoint potentially, support teams are not permitted due to local residents' noise concerns. Checkpoint 8 is at 98 miles and that's at Fairnley Hut, and support teams are welcome. And the finish line for the 106 mile event is at Langley Community Centre. Each of the checkpoints will have a range of food to choose from as well as hydration. Indoor checkpoints will also benefit from hot food and hot drinks. But please note that some of the checkpoints are outside with minimal nearby facilities. Please respect any support crew restrictions that we might have in place. There might be limited parking at certain checkpoints, which means that support crews are not permitted. We also don't necessarily have room for large support crews inside the checkpoint, and if a location is busy with runners, we reserve the right to restrict entry of support crews to outside the checkpoint. If there are any diversions in the lead up to the race, we will let participants know via email and issue a new GPX for the race. The diversions can be due to forestry felling or essential work deemed necessary by the local authority or the landowner. No pacers are permitted for the 50 mile event. This is to ensure that it is equal and fair for all participants who are entered into the race. A pacer is somebody who you have arranged to meet you on the route and agreed to run a section with you. That is not permitted. It is also not permitted for anybody else to carry your mantra kit throughout the race. On the 100 mile race, you are allowed a pacer from halfway into the event from Moffat onwards. You should only have one pacer at any one time on the route, and that pacer should not be carrying any of the mantra kit for you. They can carry other things that you might need, an extra base layer or anything like that, but all of your mantra kit has to stay on your back or on your person. In the lead up to the race, please ensure that you look over the mantra kit video, which is being done by one of the race director team, Laurie Yates. But the mantra kit is the minimum standard kit that you must carry for the race itself. If you want to carry anything extra, by all means feel free to do so, such as a first aid kit. Within the mantra kit, there are items that should only be used in an emergency. This is the minimum standard kit, the safety kit that you need to carry at all times. During an ultramarathon, the weather conditions can change rapidly, particularly in the mountains, so please bear that in mind. This is why the mantra kit is there, because it may well be changing conditions in a lead up to the race or during the race. There may well also be a poor weather forecast for race day. If this is the case, we reserve the right to add extra mantra kit to the kit list, such as waterproof trousers, gloves and a warm hat. In the event of severe weather during one of our mountain races, we have dedicated mountain teams in place, so we may well action a low level route prior to the race start or during the race by the mountain teams. During the race, there will be random kit checks and also potentially at the finish line. If you are found not to be carrying the mantra kit for the race itself, you could be disqualified or there may well be time penalties imposed. It's important that we all play our part to respect the environment that we're in. During an ultramarathon, you'll be eating on the move. Any litter from any snacks that you have during the race, please make sure that it's secure in a dedicated pocket in your pack. If you're using that pocket for anything else, maybe your mobile phone, please make sure that you don't accidentally drop any litter out of your pack when you take your phone out. Ideally, use a dedicated area of your pack. Make sure that when you come into a checkpoint that you unload all of your litter so it reduces the risk of any litter going on the route. Any forms of verbal abuse to the event team will not be tolerated by runners or their support crews. This will result in disqualification. This leads on to the emergency instructions for the event. If there is a minor injury, please let a checkpoint, a race marshal or race HQ know. Only in emergency where there is a risk to life or limb, please follow these instructions. Number 1, put on any spare clothing and use your foil blankets or thermal survival bag to keep warm. Number 2, trigger the SOS button on the front of your tracker. On the front of the tracker, just underneath the race tracker logo, there is an SOS button. Hold it down for approximately 3 seconds and that will alert Race HQ that there's an emergency. Please note this is no substitute to speaking to Race HQ on the phone. Number 3, if there is a risk to life or limb and you are at a checkpoint, please call 999 and ask for an ambulance. If there is a risk to life or limb and you're on the mountains, then please call 999 and ask for the police and mountain rescue. Number 4, inform Race HQ by calling the numbers for Race HQ that should be saved in your phone. Number 5, attract the attention of fellow participants or passers-by by using your whistle or shouting. This completes the emergency instructions for Ultra Scotland. If you have any questions in the lead up to the race, please don't hesitate to send us an email at events@gbultras.com. If it is race week, we can't guarantee a reply. That concludes the virtual race brief for the Ultra Scotland 50 and 100 mile. Thanks so much for watching. See you on race day in Scotland.